Hi, Nathan. Hi, John. Hi, Anya. This is Ami. You three are the oldest, and I think that you will like this book the most. It's called Night of the Ninjas. Isn't that cool? A ninja is one of these guys. They carry swords and sticks, and they dress in black, and they fight really, really good, like great karate and great taekwondo. So I hope you like the story. It's a story that doesn't have many pictures, so it's a chapter story, which means it has more words, which means all of you have to take a moment and put the pictures in your own mind. So when I'm telling you the story, you have to have the picture in your own mind and your own thoughts. And then you can see the pictures here instead of here. That's pretty cool. So here we go. Magic Treehouse, Night of the Ninjas. It has several chapters, so we'll read some today and then maybe some another day if you like it and if you want to find out what happens. Okay. One summer, it doesn't have many pictures to show you, so that's why I'm just reading. One summer day in Frog Creek, Pennsylvania, in America, a strange treehouse appeared in the woods and the forest. Have you ever seen a treehouse? It's a house they make up in the tree. 8-year-old Jack and his 7-year-old sister Annie climbed into the treehouse. They found that it was filled with books. Jack and Annie soon discovered that the treehouse was magic. It could take them to the places in the books. All they had to do was point to a picture and wish to be there, and boom, they would be there. Jack and Annie visited all kinds of things, dinosaurs and old England, ancient Egypt, and one time they even went on a pirate ship. Along the way, they discovered that the treehouse belonged to a woman named Morgan Le Fay. Morgan was a magical librarian from the time of King Arthur. She traveled through time and space gathering books. And now we're going to read an adventure story of Jack and Annie called Night of the Ninjas. So where would you go? If you could go anywhere, where would you go? What would you I would put my finger on India and I would come and visit you. That's what I would do if I could have that power. What would you do? Where would you go? Chapter 1. Chapter 1. No pictures, just words right now. Let's look again, Jack, said Annie. Jack and Annie were walking home from the library. The path went right by the Frog Creek forest. Jack sighed. We looked this morning, he said. We looked the day before and the day before that. You don't have to come, said Annie. I'm going to go look by myself. And she took off, running into the forest, into the woods. Annie, wait, Jack called. It's almost dark. We have to go home. Where do you think they're going? Is she looking for something? But Annie had disappeared among the trees. Jack stared at the woods. He was starting to lose hope. Maybe he would never see Morgan again. Weeks had passed, and there had not been one sign of Morgan Le Fay, the magical librarian of the treehouse. Jack! Annie called from the forest. It's back! It's back! What do you think is back? Could it be the treehouse? Oh, said Jack, she's just pretending. She's just teasing me. Hurry, said Annie. She better not be kidding, said Jack, or I'm going to get angry. And he took off running into the woods to find Annie, his sister. Night was coming soon. Crickets chirped loudly. It was hard to see through the shadows because it was starting to get dark. Annie, Jack shouted. Here, she called. Jack kept walking. Here where? He said. Here, she said. Annie's voice came from above. He looked up. What do you think he saw? Oh, man, he breathed. Annie waved from the window of a treehouse. It was the tallest oak in the woods. A long rope ladder hung down from it. The magic treehouse was back. Come on up, Annie shouted. Jack ran to the rope ladder and he started climbing. He climbed and he climbed and he climbed up the ladder. And here's a picture of him climbing. There he is. That's Jack. And that's, who do you think that is? Is that Annie? And you see how the house is up in the tree and you have to climb up a ladder to get to it? That's the magic tree house. As he climbed, he looked out over the woods. High above the treetops, it was still light. At last, Jack pulled himself into the treehouse. Annie sat in the shadows. Books were scattered everywhere. On the floor, the letter M glowed in the dim light. The M stood for Morgan Le Fay, because Morgan starts with a M. That's right. But there was no sign of Morgan. I wonder where Morgan is, said Jack. Maybe she went to the library to get some more books, said Annie. We were just at the library. We would have seen her, said Jack. Besides, the library's closed now. Squeak, squeak. They heard a sound. A little mouse ran out from behind a stack of books. It ran to the M shining on the floor. Eee, eee, said Annie. She was scared of mice. But the mouse did something strange. It sat in the middle of the M. It looked up at Jack and Annie. Oh, it's kind of cute, Annie said. Jack had to admit the mouse was kind of cute. It had brown and white fur and big dark eyes. Annie slowly reached out her hand. The mouse did not move. Annie patted its tiny head. Hi, Peanut, she said. Can I call you Peanut? Oh, gosh, said Jack. Do you know where Morgan is? Annie asked the mouse. Squeak. You're nuts, Annie, said Jack. Just because the mouse is in the treehouse doesn't mean the mouse is magic. It's just a plain old mouse. It just crawled in, that's all. Jack looked around again. He saw a piece of paper on the floor. What's this? He said. What's what? Said Annie. Jack went over and picked up the paper. There was writing on it. Oh, man, whispered Jack after he read the words. What is it? Said Annie. It's a note, said Jack. I think it's from Morgan, and I think she's in trouble. And that is the end of chapter 1. So would you like me to go ahead and read chapter 2, or do you want to wait? If you want to wait, you can press pause, and you can wait to hear chapter 2 for another night. Or if you really want to hear chapter 2, you can just let it play, and I'll read it right now. Chapter 2, The Open Book. Jack showed Annie the piece of paper, and it said, Help me. I'm under a spell. Find for the ink. But it was kind of messy, and they couldn't quite read it. There's a picture of a note. It was kind of messy. Oh no, we have to help her, but what's a thin? Maybe she's trying to write things, said Jack. See how the end runs off the paper? Maybe the spell was making her disappear or something, said Annie. Right, said Jack. I wonder if she left any other clues. He glanced around the treehouse. Look, said Annie. She pointed at a book in the corner. That's the only open book in the treehouse. Jack looked around again. Annie was right. He felt a shiver go down his spine. Jack walked over to the book and picked it up. He held it near the window. Light from the setting sun was golden on the page. Jack stared at the picture on it. In the pictures were trees with white flowers. The trees were on the side of a mountain, near a wide, rushing stream. 2 people were in the picture. They wore dark clothes, and they had black scarves over their faces where only their eyes showed, and they were carrying long swords. Oh, man, said Jack. Who are they? Said Annie. Ninjas, I think, said Jack. Ninjas? Really? Said Annie. Morgan must have left the book open to this page for a reason, said Jack. Maybe that's where she was when the spell got her, said Annie. Or maybe that's where the 4 things are, said Jack. Let's go, said Annie. Now, said Jack. Yes, Morgan's in trouble and she's our friend and she needs us, said Annie. But we should read this book first, said Jack, so we'll be prepared. Forget it, said Annie. Every minute counts, and she grabbed the book from Jack. Give it back, he said. We have to find out about this place. Annie held the book out of reach. We'll find out when we get there, she said. We don't even know where there is, Jack said. But Annie pointed at the picture. I wish we could go here, she said as she put her finger on the page. The leaves of the oak tree began to shake. Squeak, the mouse went. Don't be scared, Peanut, said Annie. And she scooped up the mouse and she put the mouse in her pocket. The wind began to blow. It blew harder and harder. The treehouse started to spin faster and faster. Jack squeezed his eyes shut. Then everything was still. Everything was absolutely still, except for the sound of rushing water. see if they really did travel on the Magic Tree House. You will only find out when we read chapter 3. So you tell me if you want me to read chapter 3 or not, and I'll read chapter 3 to you. I can read. There's chapter 3 and chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6, chapter all the way to chapter 9. There's 9 chapters. Oh, 10 chapters in this storybook. And today I read 2. And if you like it, I'll read more. Just let me know. All you have to do is send me a video or a voice message saying, Ami, you have to read the rest of that story. We want to know what happens to Jack and Annie. Okay? Okay. I love you. Ami, love you so much. Miss you a lot. Mwah. Bye.